Shut up. Hi, guys. Welcome back to Crime Time with Jess. Hey, Jam, good to see you. It has been a minute, which is why I'm here. Um, I've been wanting to go live for a couple weeks now with this Gypsy Rose Blanchard stuff and Nicholas Godejohn. But as you guys know, you guys that follow me or subscribe to me, our family has made a move from Oklahoma to Wyoming. So getting adjusted here, getting the kids adjusted over the last couple months has been a lot. Love Laramie, though. I can't say enough about this place. I truly love this town. But anyway, ready to get back in the mix of things. I've definitely been keeping up on the Gypsy Rose Blanchard saga. I'll call it that. Because even though it is true crime, Gypsy Rose's case has turned into like a drama series or something. It's been completely insane. And for those of you that have followed it religiously, I know there's a lot of you. Surely you have seen all of the shenanigans and all of the things. Something that I have had an issue with is the way that people, and there's a lot of people, a whole bunch of people, that really think that Nicholas Godejohn should get another trial. I'm confused by this. I have listened to other creators, their argument for this. I've read people's comments. The thing is that people keep pumping their fists in the air for him to get another trial, but then they never quite say what they think should happen after he gets another trial. Do you think that this person should be let out into society? Do you think that this person should be placed to a mental institution? I'm not sure what people actually want to see happen here. Nicholas Godejohn 100% stabbed Dee Dee Blanchard to death. He murdered her. Okay? And I think the problem is, because I've been analyzing the crap out of this, I cannot figure out why people want him to have this new trial so bad. But I think what it is I think human beings always look for a hero and a villain in a story, and unfortunately this story, there are no heroes. There aren't any. And I think that's hard for people to accept. So there's a ton of hate towards Gypsy, rightfully so. She literally orchestrated the murder of her mother. But Nicholas Godejohn is just as guilty. I think the problem is with his sentencing. I think his sentencing is correct. He is serving life without parole, as he should be. He stabbed a woman he didn't even know to death. The problem is more Gypsy's sentencing. That's the issue. And I think that people are just making Gypsy the villain, which she is. She's 100% the villain. But then they need that hero, and so they're all standing behind Nick because poor little Nick was manipulated, and he has a low IQ, and he is autistic. But none of those reasons are reasons to get a new trial, or that should be treated any differently than people that are in jail that have done this exact same thing, that have murdered someone. A low IQ is not an excuse for murder. Manipulation is immoral, but it's not illegal. Do I think that Gypsy manipulated the heck out of him? Absolutely. 100% she did. Unfortunately, it's not illegal. If I manipulated someone to go to the store and steal a candy bar, and they did it, well, they're going to get in trouble. Even though I manipulated them into doing it, maybe I say to someone, hey, if you go steal that bar, you and I can get down in the bedroom later. That's a little bit of manipulation. And they go do it. Well, you stole the candy bar. You know what I mean? You manipulated, I guess. It's gross, but it's a shame because, again, it's her sentencing that is the problem, not his. I think, my opinion, that he is exactly where he should be. I've watched his interrogation so many times and analyzed all of his stuff, but they ask him, and I'm going to show parts of this interrogation. But they ask him, do you think that you'll ever again? And he says, well, can't really say that. Can't really say I wouldn't, And here's the thing. If you are going to say, well, he had a really low IQ and he had autism, so therefore his trial, it wasn't fair. And, he deserves some special advocacy. You're going to be doing a lot of advocating for a lot of people in jail. There are tons of people in jail that are not smart, that have low IQs. There are people in jail with autism, 100%. So if you're going to advocate for Nick, you're going to have to advocate for these people and their crimes as well. And just because Nick had a lower IQ, it does not mean that he didn't know what he was doing was wrong. He says that in his interrogation. He didn't really want to do it. Well, why would you not want to do it? Because you knew it was wrong. He also expresses guilt, remorse. Not going to have guilt or remorse about something that you didn't think was wrong. So he clearly knew this was wrong. He clearly knew he shouldn't have done it. But he flatly says that the reason he did it is because he wanted to be with Gypsy. And, kind of a tale old as time. People kill people because, they want to be with this person or that person. You see this with teenagers. They have offed their parents to be with their boyfriends or girlfriends, and it's crazy, immature, and wrong on every single level. But they don't deserve new trials. If you have it within you to murder, then you just do. Jam's got a lot to say here. I told my significant other, I said, I'm going to do this live stream. I said, I don't think it's going to be popular because I've seen the comments, people absolutely are standing behind Nick. And I'm not. But I do, I read people's opposing comments all the time. So Jam's saying, I simply have never believed a word Gyp says. Prior to her getting out, I believe, like a lot of other people, she was abused, her mom had Munchausen by proxy, and blah, 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 blah. Since then, we've all learned a whole different thing. That Dee Dee most likely did not have Munchausen by proxy. She most likely had something called malingering. It's kind of where you use medical issues to get money. So Jam is saying, I have a certain empathy for Nick. He was used like every other man in Gypsy's life. We're going to differ there. And we're going to differ there, Jam, because people treat you the way you allow them to. I've always been a firm believer in that. So these men that are being used by Gypsy, and we know who they are. Nick was used by her for sure. Ryan was definitely used by her for sure. I do think that she loves Ken. I have no idea why, but she does. Is she using him? Probably for a baby. But they allow this stuff to happen. So I can only have so much empathy. I didn't really want to get into Ryan Anderson Anderson in Dream, but I have moments of feeling sad for him. Like, God, that's, what happened to him is horrible. I mean, he waited for her for what, 2 years, 3 years to get out, and then they last like 2 months. That's a really tough pill to swallow. But at this point, he is still, up until, just a couple of days ago, still going on live streams, still defending her, still talking to her. And he's allowing this. He's allowing this. How much empathy, my empathy starts to wane a little bit of, enough. She got matching tattoos with her boyfriend. She's married to you. She's pregnant with someone else's child, for Christ's sake. So it's just kind of, I don't know. My empathy just gets a little fuzzy. Hi, child of God. Jan is saying, I believe she still speaks to that Dan guy as well. She keeps all of her men in her back pocket. Yeah, I'm not sure about that, because Ryan Anderson did say, and he said it several times in a row, Nick isn't, Ken isn't the only person that, the only ex she keeps in touch with. So the only other ex that I know that she has besides Nick Godejohn is Dan. So I was assuming as well, and I'm like, that would be really weird, because Dan's roommates, if you don't know who Dan is, just quickly, Dan was 35 years old, I believe. Gypsy was 19. Dee Dee used to take her to these Star Wars conventions. She met Dan there. I believe that he was married. He had children. I don't think that he lived with his wife, because the apartment that Gypsy was like showing up at, so his roommates like saw her walk and all this kind of stuff. But Dee Dee, there's a story that Dee Dee had caught Gypsy and Dan in the hotel of the convention that they went to, about to do the dirty. Hi, Jess. And so, Dee Dee was aware of Dan, and I guess she did not want Gypsy being with an older man or even doing any of that kind of stuff. And I want to talk about this. Child of God is saying, does it matter what Dee Dee had? She was an abuser, and it affected her child. No, not necessarily. But just the story has always been that she had Munchausen by proxy, and we're kind of finding out that that's not exactly the case. Just the more proper term of it would be malinger. That's all. So, but did she abuse Gypsy? And, let me stop. Getting ahead of myself. This case, I think, brings out so much in people because of its complexity. I said this months ago when I did a stream about Gypsy, that she was an abused child. And I even see people questioning that and saying, she never was abused. Well, I'm going to have to firmly disagree with that. She was 8 years old and put into a wheelchair that she did not need. That is abuse. I have an 8-year-old daughter. If I shave her head and put her into a wheelchair that did not need, I'm abusing her. Okay. So was Gypsy abused? Yes. And then Gypsy went from being abused to being an accomplice to being a perpetrator. And that's why I think it conjures up so many feelings within people. They don't know which way to go. Was she the abused child that I should feel sorry for, or is she the murderer that I should be mad at the light sentence that she got? People just get really jumbled up about that. And I think this is where the whole, almost putting Nicholas Godejohn up on a pedestal of, this poor guy, this poor boy. He wasn't a boy. He was 26 years old when he committed this murder. So hi, Jess. Did I already say that? Jam is saying, child of God, Dee Dee was not what Gypsy says. Okay, you're responding to child of God. Okay. So Jam is also saying, a lot of people are severely abused and they don't take out their mother or father. I think Gypsy had other motives for what she did. I have found it from the jump. I 100% agree with you on that, Jam. It's been very, very obvious that the reason she took her mother out. Okay, this is what I want to talk about this. Gypsy, I'll just put it this way. I think she was hot in the crotch. Okay, I think she was very hot in the crotch. And I don't think Dee Dee was. Because if you look at Dee Dee's life, she married Rod Blanchard. She was 24. She got pregnant with Gypsy. Rod was 17. I know people have a lot of issue with that. He was a minor, but 16 is the age of consent. So she wasn't legally doing anything wrong, morally, but she wasn't legally doing anything wrong. She gets pregnant by him, first child, and by his own words, on his 18th birthday, he literally woke up on his 18th birthday and decided, this just isn't right for me. I have this theory that Gypsy is a lot more like her dad than she is her mother. Because Rod Blanchard is the one that was also hot in the crotch, not Dee Dee, okay? Because Rod, again, wakes up on his 18th birthday and just like, hey, this isn't bye. So he dips out. He abandons Dee Dee, heavily pregnant with Gypsy. He left just weeks before Gypsy was born. And then he got another woman pregnant. So Rod Blanchard actually has 2 daughters outside of his marriage with Chris Blanchard. The second daughter is only a couple months younger than Gypsy. So he cheated. And the second daughter, he signed his rights away. She was adopted by her stepfather. So I've seen people starting to ask, like, who is this girl? How come she's never mentioned? I don't think we should talk about her a lot. Her father legally is not Rod. She is not a part of any of this. She was adopted by her stepfather. And, I think she should be left out of it. But the only reason I am speaking about her is more to just kind of show a little bit of Rod's character and how he was kind of hot in the crotch, and just like Gypsy, very hot in the crotch, impulsive. So he does that. By all accounts, even according to Christy Blanchard, she said in an interview one time that Dee Dee was very, very in love with Rod, and that was very obvious. So you see that once their marriage, he left her and abandoned her. She never remarried. Dee Dee never remarried. There is no long-term boyfriends to speak of. There's never been stories of her having men in and out of the house around Gypsy or anything of that nature. She seemed to fully put herself into Gypsy, good and bad, so. But this is where I think her and Gypsy had the biggest issue, and why I think Gypsy actually ended up killing her is because Gypsy entered her teenage years, and clearly the hormones were raging. And I think she wanted to be with boys. I think she wanted to have sex with them. I think she wanted to do all kinds of things, which she actually did. And I think it was so egregious to Dee Dee that she was doing these things. I think there were massive fights. and stuff like that. So I think Gypsy wanted her mom out of the way. Like, I want to date and have sex and do all of these things with whoever I want. And you're telling me that I'm bad and I'm wrong and all of this stuff, and you got to go. And I really think that men and sex were really Gypsy's motive. I don't think it had anything to do with the medical abuse. Um, I don't think it was her only way out. In fact, I was the day before or a couple days before Dee Dee was murdered. Dee Dee actually was trying to kick Gypsy out of the house. So not only was there other ways for Gypsy to get out of this situation, Dee Dee was actually trying to put her out of the situation. So let me go back. I really wanted to spend some time with today. My last live streams over the last year, I've just kind of let the live chat go and I've interacted a little, but I just want to interact more with you guys today. So, child of God, who is Rob? Jam. Oh, Ron. You're saying Ron was and is not the father he pretends to be? I don't know if I believe that, but. So child of God is saying, I agree with what you're saying. She has accelerated from abuse to abuser. Yeah. I think this is to be expected to an extent. Not for or against her. I just believe she's emotionally and mentally, I think he meant damaged, probably. Yeah, and I agree, Jam. Men and sex are still her motivation, really, in everything. There's something, if you watch Gypsy's lives, she always just talks about herself and her feelings. However she sees things, views things, her feelings. But you'll never hear her really talk about anything she does, like action wise. Like, oh, I went for a run today, or I went and volunteer at the animal shelter, or, it's never any action. It's always thought with her that she talks about. So it seems like her whole life revolves around whatever guy she is with and whatever's happening with that. She doesn't ever really have anything herself. Like, it doesn't seem that she has any like interests, like hobbies, things like that. It just doesn't really seem like that. And I guess maybe, I don't know, because all the things that she did with Dee Dee, Dee Dee taking her, she does love Star Wars, apparently. She does love Harry Potter. Dee Dee did take her to these conventions and do these things with her. And I do see her buying children's clothes, so I guess she has an interest in TV shows. But other than that, she's trying to find herself or whatever. I don't know. I think her being pregnant is a travesty for the baby. Really concerned about that child. I just really pray that things go well for the child. And it's kind of why I don't want to wish for Gypsy's downfall or anything like that, because it's going to affect the child. So do I hope that she's the best mother that she can be? Yeah, I do. I hope, because that would be best for the baby. But it's an awful shame. It is a real awful shame. She got pregnant now. I just have to say that. So, but we are going to watch a little bit of Nick's interrogation. want to do that. All right, so let me get to one part. And this is, again, how you know that Nick, he literally asked the detective, like, well, besides honorable, like, where is this truth? What is it going to get me exactly? You know, he gives a full confession of everything that he did, stabbing Dee Dee. He even, demonstrates like how he had to pull the knife out of heart of what he thought was her lung. And the reason I'm saying this is not to be graphic or vulgar, but it's more because there are people that believe that he didn't even kill Dee Dee, that Gypsy and Dan did this prior to him even getting there, and he just stabbed a dead body, basically. But that's not true. I mean, his confession will tell you that. So, okay. So you listen to this one part.
I have a question based on like truth versus lies, pretty much what it is. Okay. What I was wondering is when it comes to like telling the truth, other than being honorable, where else does it get me?
Other than being honorable, like, what else does it get me? Well, nothing, Nick. I mean, that's you stabbed someone to death, literally. So I'm sorry that you're not going to get anything out of that. You wanted to get Gypsy out of that, but Gypsy's an insane manipulator, and so you just literally killed someone for no reason, and now you're spending the rest of your life in jail. So we're going to go on to the next one that I wanted to show. And listening to this, is this really a person that you think, because I've watched Nick's trial. I've watched the trial, and people are like, he didn't get a fair trial. They didn't put it there that Gypsy manipulated him. Manipulation is not a crime. Okay? It's not. It's not a crime. It's a terrible thing to do to someone. It's just not a crime. So he committed a crime. And I seen Ryan Anderson say that on his live stream the other day. People wanted to attack him. That's how I knew when I did this live stream I was probably going to be attacked in some way. But that's okay. This case brings out a lot of strong feelings within people, and I just can understand why. So we're going to listen to him talk about the stabbing of Dee Dee. And, after listening to that, you really need to ask yourself, is this a person that I want to see get a new trial? For what? I'm not exactly sure, because, again, he is telling you exactly what he did. And even after what I just showed you, when he said, well, besides being honorable, like, what else is telling the truth going to get me here? So, but anyway, we're going to listen to him tell us how he killed Dee Dee.
Just only one person I would ever do this for.
Okay, only person you do it for is Gypsy. This is the first time you ever stabbed anybody.
Yes.
Okay, so when you're stabbing Dee, where is she at?
She's on her stomach.
On her stomach? Where? On the floor, in the bathtub, or somewhere different?
On her, on the, oh my gosh. I got it in my mind. Where, oh, 1 second.
You're fine. Take your time.
She was on the bed. Her bed.
Her bed. In her bedroom?
Yes.
Okay. So was she sleeping on her stomach, or just laying there watching TV, or?
Sleeping on her stomach.
Okay, so she's laying in her bed, sleeping on her stomach. Is she covered up with covers or uncovered, or?
It actually, when I did it, it seemed like, she had her, it was almost like a nightgown on, it seemed like.
Okay.
And she barely even was covered at all.
Okay.
So easy access to her party.
Okay. So she didn't have a bunch of covers on her. It made it a lot easier to do that. Okay. And
So I'll stop right there for a second because, as you guys may or may not know, the crime scene photos for Dee Dee were released a long time ago. Now that Gypsy has been they've resurfaced. Well, there's a couple new ones in there, but I've looked at them. They are horrific. They are graphic as hell. Okay. There is one picture in particular that really got to me. And it is of the back of Dee Dee's neck. And Dee Dee was a heavy-set woman, obviously. So, when they were taking the crime scene photos, they literally lifted up her neck fat. I don't know another word for it, but her neck fat. And they took a picture. And that slice wound was so deep. It was I looked at it and then I had to look away. I don't like blood. Okay. I don't really care for it too much, but it was just so disturbing to look at. And then another picture is, and this is why I stopped this, is Dee Dee was wearing a nightgown, and the crime scene photos, there's one photo where she is laying on the bed. Her nightgown is about up maybe to her belly button, maybe a little below, but her entire vagina is out and displayed. And, just what a horrible thing. What a horrible thing to be murdered this way and then have your death pictures that are just disgusting all over the internet. I keep saying to people that, hey, Jerry, how are you? Keep saying to people, there was one ultimate victim in this. It's not Gypsy. She's still alive and well and having gender reveal parties. And it's not Nicholas Godejohn. It's Dee Dee Blanchard. She is the one was stabbed and murdered to death, okay? No one did anything except Gypsy. She manipulated the heck out of him. But he was never physically hurt by anyone. But he committed a horrific murder. So let's continue with this.
So when she's laying there, where's the first place you decide to stab her?
And I just was in a random spot in the back.
In the back, just random?
Yes.
Do you know how many times you stabbed her?
4.
You stabbed her 4?
Yeah, 4 times.
Okay.
The 4th one, I felt it go into, I think it might have been her lungs.
Okay.
It was harder to get out.
Okay. Did it take one hand to get it out?
I really want everyone to pay attention to this part because people that believe that Gypsy also took part in the stabbing, I don't know. I was not there, so I can't say. I just kind of remain on the fence with that. I could totally see Gypsy doing it, just by her behaviors that we've seen since she's been out. But I don't know. But people always point to this, that he says he stabbed her 4 times. Dee Dee was actually stabbed 17 times. So, but he sort of says, well, let's just listen to him because he sort of says, well, those were the main 4 that I remember. The other ones I didn't really count because they didn't really go in too far, basically. So let's listen to him say that.
2 hands?
I had to yank it out.
Okay.
With 1 hand.
Okay. So it did. So the others came out easy, but that one kind of came out harder.
Yep.
Okay. And so, you only stabbed her 4 times? Are you sure about that?
Well, as in stabbing, I stabbed her 4
Okay.
times. But I did actually cut her one other time besides that.
Okay. Where'd you cut her
On
at?
the back of her neck.
Okay. And did you use the same knife that you did the others with?
Yep.
Okay. And when you...
And we're going to stop right there because I just talked about that neck cut. There's a picture of it. If Nick, for the people that believe that Dee Dee was already dead, that Gypsy and Dan potentially did this, and Nick was just really stabbing a dead body that was already dead, that part right there should tell you that that is not true, because that back of the neck slice, again, so deep, so severe, but they had to lift her neck fat up to take the picture of it. He would not know about that neck slice if he did not do it himself, unless he went in after she was already dead and examined her body and pulled up her neck fat and saw it for himself. But that's unrealistic. It's obvious to me that he is the one that inflicted that wound. And that wound, again, very, very severe wound there.
You did the cross the back of the neck, did that even cause an injury, or did you see any blood or anything?
Yeah, she was bleeding.
Okay, she's bleeding. And so did she scream or holler, or
Yeah, she did.
what was she saying?
First she said help, and then she didn't recognize who I was. So she
Okay.
said, who are you? And then
She said, who are you?
yeah,
Okay. And she didn't recognize who you are, and she says help, and then what does she say?
and she called up for Gypsy, but Gypsy didn't do anything.
Okay. She hollered for Gypsy.
Yes.
And did she holler for Gypsy once, twice, 5 times?
3 times.
3 times? And what was she saying? Can you tell me?
Okay, so I want to stop here again for the people that believe that Nicholas Godejohn was literally just already stabbing a dead body because Gypsy already killed her prior to him getting there. You would also have to believe that everything that he is saying right now is a lie, because he is telling you that Dee Dee said to him, who are you? Help. She called out for Gypsy 3 times. Well, a dead woman is not calling out for anyone or saying, who are you, or any of that. So the fact that she spoke to him, the fact that she yelled out Gypsy's name, and all of that tells you that Dee Dee was still very much alive when Nicholas Godejohn got there. I'm going to look at some questions real quick because I see Jerry has a lot to say. Hi, Jerry. How are you again? Let me see here what we have. Jerry's saying, I wish I hadn't looked at those pictures. Yep. Part of true crime, though. You know, us true crimers are, you know, as much as I hate blood and gore, and I really do despise it, it's kind of part of true crime. So they were difficult to look at. I will say that. Jerry's also saying it's inconceivable that her own daughter did this, yet I believe she did. Let me see. Jerry is saying, what I had the hardest time in my head with is truly understanding that everything we know came from Gypsy, and she is an incredibly accomplished liar. I have that same issue, Jerry. About the crime itself, we do have 2 people. We have Nick, and I do believe that Nick told the truth. I've watched Becca Scoops. I'm sure most of you have that are watching the stream. And she basically says, you know, with his IQ, with the autism, that he doesn't really have the capacity to lie. You know, he even says that in the, well, besides being honorable, like, what do I get out of telling the truth? You know, so, but he kind of just doesn't understand what it is to lie. Like, there probably were thoughts in his head of, I think I should lie about this because we're going to get in a lot of trouble. But, you know, he's just easily talked out of that. Like, hey, if you love Gypsy, tell the truth. And he's like, okay, yeah, I love Gypsy, so tell the truth. So we do have 2 people at least, you know, with this. But as far as Gypsy and Dee Dee's life together, we don't really have a lot. We have Gypsy's side. We will never really have Dee Dee's side unless Dee Dee's friends or people that she confided in or talked to come forward and talk more. We really won't know. But for years, Dee Dee has been looked at as this, horrifically abusive mother that, kept her child in a wheelchair her entire life. And so I'm sure, friends and stuff of Dee Dee probably want to stay out of the spotlight because she's looked at as such a villainous character. And I don't blame them because everybody that speaks out in this case gets annihilated, it seems. But I think there's a lot more to Dee Dee than just this villainous person. Sort of like there's a lot more to Gypsy than just the victim or the murderer that she is. I agree with you. I think that she is a complete liar. I don't think Gypsy would know the truth if it smacked her dead in the face. But let's see here. Jerry is saying you have to constantly be aware that nothing Gypsy says is the truth. Oh, I just said that. And she has no conscience. Dee Dee was wrong to her to manipulate and lie. Absolutely. Absolutely. Jerry, I have autism as well. We can't lie. I don't know if that's true because I don't have autism, even though I do sleep with T-Rex arms, if you guys know what that is. And I just not all that long found out that was some kind of thing. But I've always slept with T-Rex arms, so there's that. It's impossible to pull off a lie. Right. So again, I don't know that autistic people can't lie. I'm sure they could probably lie. Maybe they wouldn't be able to carry the lie on very long. But it was just really obvious to me Nick is not lying. I think he was telling the truth here. So, again, if you're going to believe that Nick just stabbed a dead body and he didn't really kill Dee Dee, well, then you're going to have to also believe that he's lying about Dee Dee speaking to him, asking him who he was, and yelling for Jim. And I don't believe he's lying about that. So let's get back to this interview because I want to listen to the rest.
Tell me how she said it.
She pretty much yelped it.
Yelped it?
It's like,
Gypsy. Okay.
Yeah, she was loud.
And what did you do when she did that?
It didn't stop me from keep on going.
Okay. You just kept stabbing her?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any reason that we would think that maybe you stabbed her more than 4 times?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Now, did Gypsy come in and stab her?
No.
Gypsy never stabbed her?
She couldn't do it.
Okay.
That's the reason why she asked me to.
Okay. Did you try to get Gypsy to come in and stab her?
No, I would have never done that.
Okay. So when you say 4 actual stabs, so those are the ones that went in deeper?
Yeah.
Was there some little ones? Or
There might have been because the truth is I counted the ones that went in deep. I didn't count any other. If there's any other ones.
Okay. So if there's any other ones, you just didn't because they didn't go in as deep.
Yeah.
Okay. But you know that 4 of them went in deep.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know where those 4 deep ones were?
Are
you counting the one in the back of the neck or not in that 4?
No.
Okay, so the back of the neck would be something different.
Yeah, it's completely separate.
Okay, so the 4 that went in deep, do you remember where those went at on her body?
I honestly can't remember because I think it's just a blockage because of the guilt.
Okay.
I can't
Okay.
remember.
Sometimes there's things that we don't remember and that I'll understand that you don't remember, but you might not remember something that's important that I know you remember.
So he does express guilt there. It goes on to say that once Gypsy and him left to go back to his house, Gypsy was telling him all kinds of stories about Dee Dee and her accomplishments. And he says, Gypsy really did love her mom. Have you guys ever seen the movie, The Bad Seed? Anybody ever seen the movie, The Bad Seed? I'm wondering if Gypsy is just the bad seed. You know, Gypsy herself said that Dee Dee's last words were, "Don't hurt me, Gypsy." And that part always makes me wonder, did you come in and inflict a couple stab wounds yourself? Why would those be Dee Dee's last words to you? That is a really ominous thing to say. Right before she's killed, she tells you not to hurt her. Little strange. Little strange. Jerry saying, and she's talking about autism. Hang on a second, guys. Hang on. Sorry, little disruption there. Kind of lost my train of thought of what I was saying. Oh, this is going to bring me to this. The creators that I see that are mainly covering Gypsy, I think things have gotten really in. Okay. It's such an ironic thing that I continue to see people in comment sections say, she needs to get off the internet. Why is she being treated like a celebrity? Why is she getting all this attention? Where do you think she's getting the attention from? Us. She's getting the attention from us. We are creating this problem. And I say we because I'm sitting here doing a live stream about her, so I am included in that. We are creating this problem, okay? And so, some of the top creators that I see covering her, Flawless Nina, Katie Joy from Without a Crystal Ball, Sir Morbid, every day they have something else that's breaking news with Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Listen, as much as a drama queen as Gypsy appears to be, nobody's life is that fantastical, okay? So when Katie Joy flipped on the Blanchards, I was like, oh, she would have a lot to say. She's been talking to these people for years, Christy mainly. So I'm not calling great channels, Jerry. I'm sorry. But I actually emailed Without a Crystal Ball, and I wanted to talk with her about this. But as the days have gone on, she's just putting out misinformation that is really aggravating to watch. I watched her on Sir Morbid's live. That was a 5-hour live stream, and she said that she'd only talked to Gypsy 2 or 3 times ever. But then I was watching her video from yesterday or maybe the day before, last couple of days, and she says, I told Gypsy multiple times, well, but how did you tell her multiple times if you only talked to her a couple of times in your life? They're just these weird inconsistencies. And something that I noticed that Katie Joy does is she'll say something like, Christy told me something, and that will be the truth. And then she'll go into speculation, but she doesn't say that. So the way she presents things is like everything she's saying is fact, even though it is not. It is actually her speculation or her assumptions to things. This whole set of symbol that I've heard her go on and on about, and I even saw Flawlina the other day say something about, oh, the FBI might be looking into Gypsy. That is preposterous. Okay. We, as the true crime community, the true crime watchers, we kind of know how things work a little bit. We've intook so much content from it, and watched so many things and understand, because it's an interest of ours. These two creators, Katie Joy and Flawless Nina, are not true crime creators. Flawless Nina is apparently a beauty influencer. Not really sure how she got onto Gypsy Rose, but apparently that's what she does. She is not into true crime. And then Katie Joy is more of a reaction gossip channel. She covers like the Duggars and Sister Wives and things like that. So neither one of these channels are true crime channels or anything like that. But you see Katie Joy saying, oh, I explained about the Son of Sam laws to Gypsy's family, that she profit. I have bad news again, guys. True crime is kind of just a lot of bad news, honestly. But I have bad news again. The Son of Sam laws do not apply. They do not apply. They don't apply in Louisiana. I know that the crime was committed in Missouri, but I think that Gypsy Rose Blanchard is on the FBI's watch list is laughable. I guarantee that girl is not even on their radar. Guarantee it. Her case, as far as law enforcement goes, is pretty much over. She took a guilty plea. She did 8 years in jail. Travesty, huge travesty in my opinion, but she did. And now she's out on parole. If this was a race, she's in the last leg of the race. The FBI cannot charge her with the murder of her or try her for the murder of her mother. That's double jeopardy. We have laws against that in this country. If the FBI was going to do anything, which I would bet my life that they are not, but if they were, they would have to find another crime to charge her with, and it's not going to be murder, because the background's blurry, Jerry. I blurred out the backgrounds, but hopefully you could still see me. So, but, for these creators to come on here and I'm going to say give people false hope, because there's a lot of people that want Gypsy back in jail. Oh, my face is blurred. Is it? Is it now? Maybe it's the lighting. If it is, I'm sorry. So, there's a lot of want to see Gypsy back in jail, and I wish that she had gotten the exact same sentence as Nicholas Godejohn. I feel like that would have been appropriate. Oh, thank you, Vibes. I really appreciate that. $2 Super Jack. Points about the mother. As I was saying, a lot of people want to see her back in jail, and I would like to too. Unfortunately, like I said at the beginning of this stream, there are no heroes. This is just a tragedy. And true crime is often that. When you intake true crime, it's murder, it's sadness, it's tragedy. It's why people have to take breaks from it sometimes. It's good to take breaks from it. Go touch some grass, go pet your dog, do something happy, because true crime there's nothing happy about it. And it's the same with this case. Wow, Jerry, I will agree with you, but I am a taken woman, and so I'll just agree with you. But Jerry is saying, Vibes, if that is a pic of you, I have to say you're very aesthetically pleasing. Very, very nice. And I thought he was very nice for giving a super chat. I haven't got a super chat in a very long time. So that has really made my day, and I really appreciate that. I got to get back on track here. Now, Jerry's got me thinking about vibes, aesthetically, a pleasing face, and all this kind of thing. So, let's see. What my oh my says, people also, when the body is also stressed, actions still take place when your lights are out. You seem like you're asleep. It's a blackout. Oh, I don't. You must have had a comment prior to that. You're definitely welcome, vibes, and thank you again. Very much appreciated. I wish I would have seen What Oh My's first comment. So, but back to these creators getting people riled up and excited that, somehow Gypsy's going to go back to jail for the murder of her mother, or that Nicholas Godejohn is going to get this new trial. Honestly, I don't believe either one is going to happen. I do think that Gypsy will reoffend. Not with murdering. I don't think she's stupid enough to do that. I don't think she wants to spend the rest of her life in jail, but her impulsivity, I think, will end up landing her back in jail, maybe for a day or two or a week or something. But I do see her reoffending. It just seems to be in the of kind of who she is. But Nicholas, as far as him getting a new trial, I just highly doubt it. I mean, they have a full confession from him. Again, like I said at the beginning of the stream, having a low IQ and having autism are not reasons to get a new trial. It doesn't exempt you from murder. You can't say, well, I'm not too smart, or I have autism, so, if I commit this murder, just overlook it. Jerry here in the chat has autism. She hasn't murdered anyone that I'm aware of. Tyler has autistic people in his family. They're not murderous. They're not murdering anyone. Okay. So it's just not an excuse. And also, Nick understood. He understood the right from the wrong. He still chose the wrong. So unfortunately, he's manipulated into something. He did it, and he's going to pay the price for it. I'm a believer in karma, and I think that karma never forget an address. And so I think Gypsy will get her karma in some way, shape, or form. It's just awfully sad to me that there will be a baby involved now, and that baby, I hope the baby doesn't too affected by whatever karma Gypsy receives. So, wow, Jerry, you genius. I don't want to speak too much on the autism because I don't know every in and out of it, but I kind of thought that was a little conflicting that he's of low IQ but also autistic. But then again, I don't think every autistic person is a genius. So, but again, I don't really want to talk too much about it because I don't know too much about that. Child of God, like the fact that you are objective and not operating off speculation like some. Thank you, child of God. And that's really why I wanted to do this live stream, is because, again, I see these other creators just saying all of this stuff, and there's no way to truly verify it, but they're getting people to the point where people are like, Gypsy's going to be arrested and put back in jail any day. Any day. People believe this because these creators are telling them this. We don't know that. We do not know that at all. I think that some people have never had experience with jail or probation or parole, so they really don't know how it works. But I know someone at this very moment that has been on probation since December of last year. Okay, they're out roaming the world, and they have violated numerous times. They are not back in jail. Probation is trying to help this person be better. So just because Gypsy does do something wrong, I think it's kind of obvious at this point that she has reached out to some people in jail, which she's not allowed to do. It doesn't mean that they're automatically going to put her back in jail. She's probably got some warnings. I'll speculate that she probably has gotten some warnings. But she's really going to have to do something to have them put her back. And it will be up to the parole board solely. It won't be up to a judge or anybody else. It will be up to the parole board. So unless she does something really egregious, not this online stuff, they really don't crap about that. Someone that had called up her probation officer and was literally complaining to her probation officer that Gypsy was rude. If I was that probation officer, I would have hung up the phone. Literally. If you were calling me because somebody was mean to you on the internet, lose my number. Stop and listen. I want to tell you guys, Gypsy is obviously not his only client. She's not the only person that he has to oversee on probation. So when all these people online who don't like Gypsy, don't agree with her sentence, and want to get her put back in jail are calling up her probation officer and harassing this man with all of this nonsense that goes on online, cut it out. Cut it out and stop making this man's life more stressful than it needs to be because you don't like you don't have to like what Gypsy's doing. I don't like. But I'm not going to waste. She's saying this online, and I don't like that she said that, and I don't like that she's doing that, and I don't like that she's getting gifts off of TikTok. I don't either. But you're going to have to take that up with the people that are giving the gift. Because, again, that's not illegal either. So, I guess I'm going to end my live stream here, guys. Jerry's going to agree with me on that one. I agree. They need to just let the PO do their job and stop calling Gypsy. Gypsy is her own worst enemy. She is. If she's going to fall, I feel like she's going to do it in epic fashion. And I don't think she needs any help doing it. I think she's do that just fine. So, yeah, leave that guy alone. Stop calling him over every little thing that happens online. It's really ridiculous and childish. If she's going to go back to jail, she's going to. So, and also, one last thing. Be careful of listening to every last thing said by creators. I've caught Katie Joy in a couple of lies. I mean, she said one thing and then she said another, and I'm like, wait a minute, that is not what you said on that other stream. So just be discernment. That's the best thing to do. Well, I guess I'll do this last one. Crime Time with Jess. Nicholas did kill DD. He probably thinks he did it only 4 times because he was nervous and the adrenaline was surging through him. Yeah, I agree. Because you know what people, they say, I've never committed a crime like that, but they say, your adrenaline's rushing. It's a traumatic event. Any kind of trauma, people kind of lose a little bit of memory of it. It's like children that have been abused, like they'll remember very specific things, but they can't remember everything. So it's kind of like that. Let's see. Did I just put that up? Yes. Okay, so Crime Time Just. Next one, people also, when the human body is stressed, You're fighting for your life. A black can happen. Sometimes you won't remember at times. Yes, you are exactly correct. And I think you're agreeing with me here. Here you go. I put the thing I said back in there for you. There's 3 of them. Okay, thank you. Yes, and that's a very good point. And I thought the same, because when the investigator, asked Nicholas, like, okay, what happened? He's got to take a drink of water and he's got to get himself together. And that you can tell that there are, some things that are a little blurry. I mean, stabbing someone to death is very traumatic, and it's very crazy. You don't do that every day of your life, or really ever. So there's a lot of trauma, and that can cause blackouts and memory losses of specific things that happened. So you're right. Jerry's saying, sorry for monopolizing the chat. Have a great day. You're fine, Jerry. You did not monopolize anything. You're perfectly fine. And it was nice chatting with you all. Thank you again to Vibes. I really appreciate that. Super chats definitely help my channel and make me want to keep going and being a YouTuber. So, whatever you guys' thoughts are, please leave them in the comments. If you would not mind hitting the like button on the way out, I would greatly appreciate that. And I will see you guys next time. Next stream I'm going to do, we are getting into Wade Wilson, because, oh, Papa Tootie, we have a loony. So I'm going to be getting into him and these phone calls. Good gracious. So I will see you guys next time. Oh, I certainly will. What my oh my. I certainly will check that out. And I'm sorry that your friends were murdered. That's a terrible thing. My sympathies to you. But bye for now, guys. Have a great day, and I will talk with you guys later.